Welcome to another episode of Uncovering the Gems. My name is Marcy Graham. I am the Marketing Manager and Public Information Officer for the City of La Quinta. Today I have Richard Tovar, who is with CAL FIRE. He is our Division Chief. Welcome, Richard. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Talk to me a little bit about let's start from the beginning, if you will. Talk to me a little bit about what you do at CAL FIRE, how long you've done it, and why did you get into this field?
Well, thank you for the intro, Marcy. It's been 29 amazing years,
29.
29 in the fire service. I started my career early on in 1994. A couple of us said, hey, let's just go become firefighters. So back in the day, it used to be called CDF, now known as CAL FIRE. We all started getting involved. We started as volunteers, and next thing you know, we got hired years later, and it was pretty neat because I ended up working where I lived, which was in Hemet at the time. I worked on a helicopter
Nice.
for about 3 years, and then I started moving up the ranks from firefighter 1, firefighter 2, engineer to captain to battalion chief, and now as an assistant chief here in beautiful La Quinta.
Love it. Awesome. We appreciate our first responders here in the Gem of the Desert. I think everybody does. And so we're going to talk today a little bit about more of the community aspect, residential aspect. We had quite a bit of big fires in Southern California in the last few months. Super tragic. And I think it's important for education and information, especially for our residents, to understand, misperceptions, but also what can they do to help. So as we get into this, it's really just about making sure our residents know that, fire's here for them, but also what they can do to help mitigate things happening. So I want to talk a little bit. I want to jump into it. What are some of the common causes of residential fires that you see in our community?
Well, here in the city of La Quinta, we noticed that there was an uptrend for a while on cooking fires that captured about 40% of our fires here in the city. Then we started moving into electrical fires, charging stations, as everybody owns a golf cart or an electric vehicle, leaving it plugged in. It overheats the lithium batteries over time, which wears down into the system. We also found rubbish outside fires, like cooking fires,
Yeah.
but the majority of them was about 40% of cooking fires, followed by
Interesting.
electrical.
So people are plugging in their golf carts or, um, you know, let me focus on that for a second. So I think people plug it in, walk away, forget about it, leave it overnight. What should they be doing with something like that?
Charge it when you need it. Batteries collect a memory, and what you don't want is to constantly leave it plugged in, because what it does is it trickles, and over time, a failure in the system will cause the fire to start at the electrical panel or the actual outlet. We always recommend what we call as phantom appliances. So, like, if you don't use something, unplug it, because throughout the day, unless you push a button to start a piece of machinery or an electronic device, it actually trickles into the device, which turns it on. But
Ah,
what you don't want is, if you're not using something, unplug it. If you're going to use a battery, plug it in when you're going to use it, but don't leave things plugged in constantly, especially with the desert heat
yeah,
and the heat of the battery that it conducts from the electricity
yeah.
tends to overheat it, and over time you're going to have a failure.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, all of us are probably guilty of leaving stuff plugged in because we're like, it's just conveniently there. And I've also been witnessed of when you go to grab it, you're like, man, this thing's hot.
Yeah.
So, kind of piggybacking off of that, right? People leaving stuff plugged in. What are some of the misconceptions people have about fire safety? Because I think sometimes we get a lot of experts, and really we like to leave it to the experts to give us that info.
Um, to your question, so we always hear people, it won't happen to me.
Hmm.
We're not surrounded by forests.
Yeah.
There's no true fuel that can start a large scale fire, and that is completely inaccurate. We are surrounded by desert. We are surrounded by dead brush or trees that are out there, whether it's green waste or people just having fuel load in their homes. If it's wind driven, terrain driven, there is no house that will be protected.
Yeah.
Every house is susceptible to fire. So the misconception is always going to be there. It won't happen to me, but it's always good to be prepared. We do have an amazing website that is called Firewise through Cal Fire, and what it does is it navigates you through your home, and it makes you check items in your home that would normally wouldn't come to mind that could catch fire. Patio furniture and so on, wood on the side of the house for your wood stove, paint, propane tanks that are left outside. There's a variety of things, not treated wood, and so on. So we do get a variety of weather patterns out here in the desert, whether it's summer or winter. Uh, it will not defer from your house. It could get your
Interesting.
house, it could get the whole neighborhood. But here in the city of La Quinta, we're very well protected.
Yeah.
You have 3 fire stations, and in a moment's notice, you can get 10, 15 engines to ensure that that spread of fire is only isolated to the one location.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that I think, what, it's funny. You mentioned, some of your common household things that people aren't thinking about, like paint, right? You're like, oh, how many people store paint in their hot garages or outside of the side of their house and things like that? And it's just making sure you're educated. What's the website that you mentioned?
Firewise.org.
Firewise. Okay, we'll put that up here. Um, I think that's important to making sure that people are taking the steps in order to protect and mitigate possible fire issues and whatnot in their house. So this kind of goes into, our simple actionable steps. I think, every October is Fire Prevention Safety Week.
Yep.
And so that is where I know we as a city will issue out a lot of information in coordination with you guys to our residents. But this is something that should be happening all year round and not just necessarily in the hot months, but like you said, also the winter. So what are some simple, I mean, granted, we have a range of residents in age from the youngest to the oldest. But what are some simple kind of actionable steps that every household should be doing to take to make sure that they are, improving their fire safety?
Well, as we always say, hope is not a plan. I
Yep.
hope this doesn't happen to me. Have a plan. If you have children, elderly living in your home, go through Edith, exit drill in the home. Have a plan. What happens if there's a fire, an earthquake? Do you have an evacuation zone, 1 story or 2 story homes? Do
Mm,
you have the ability to escape your house safely? And where do you meet? Do you meet in the front yard, backyard? Have a plan. Have some sort of guidance for your children to know that when we show up, everybody's accounted for.
mm,
That is the worst thing that we can possibly do is not have accountability of our family members,
yeah.
because when we show up, the first thing we're going to do is go into rescue mode. We're going to go in search mode, not knowing the factors, who's inside, how many people live here.
Right.
One thing we also do is once we have everybody accountable for, people will start saying our pets are inside, or
Mm,
they go back inside for their pets. Let
right.
us do that work. Here in the city, we have thermal imager cameras. So those thermal imaging cameras allow us to see in complete darkness, smoke, whatever condition it is, we're able to locate anything with the heat source. So that's a good tool that we have, but
Yeah.
ultimately it's Edith. And that applies to all ages. Have a plan.
Yeah. Edith represents, say it again.
Exit drill in the home.
Exit drill in the home. I love that. I mean, yeah, obviously, making sure those smoke detectors, that is, I think they teach our children that in school, right?
They do.
Let's talk about that real quick, just the importance of that, because there are many people who are like, I will smell it when I'm asleep. I don't need it. I don't need to make sure my batteries are changed.
Correct. So that's another misconception. Smoke detectors have a lifespan of about 10 years, whether you have photoionization or photoelectric, whether your home is monitored or if it's not. We always tell people change them. Don't wait till it beeps. When you do change them, check them monthly. If you have an alarm company that monitors your alarm system, have them come out, because we do get a lot of false alarms in this city, and that's due to faulty equipment, smoke detectors that have reached their age of lifespan. So what we ask is that have your alarm company do a thorough checkout. Sometimes we get smoke alarms, but not only that, carbon monoxide alarms.
Mm,
Have that combo. They make them now. We can't obviously give you a place where you can buy them, but get a combo system: carbon monoxide and photoionization smoke detectors. And they do have different placement, carbon monoxide being lower, smoke detectors being higher, but always change those batteries twice a year
yeah.
at the minimum.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the false alarm. So we here at the city of La Quinta are big on reminding people, like, please, please stay on top of that. And constantly we put out information about how much money goes into responding to false alarms. And it's not even the money, it is, we are now removing resources, fire and police, off the streets to respond to a false alarm. And that is dire. Like, we need to make sure as residents that we are staying on top of our alarm systems, our, whether it's a fire alarm, because like you said, if you have an alarm system that's connected to your fire alarm or carbon monoxide and you're not staying on top of it, it's going to trigger it,
Yep.
which then calls you guys, calls our friends at Riverside County Sheriff, and now all you guys are responding to essentially nothing. And so the importance of, I mean, that is another huge reason, besides the safety aspect, but that's another huge reason why the importance of making sure you're staying on top of that, because you're now removing resources from doing the work of keeping our community safe. And so I think that's just another checkbox of, like, why is it so important to do this? Because you're also going to get stuck with a false alarm fine.
Correct. And
And, it is what it is.
we have an amazing fire marshal staff here in the city of La Quinta, which also provides services to commercial structures. And we provide that service to ensure that our public is always safe.
Yep.
So if you go to the supermarket, you know that that building's been inspected. Their fire alarm systems are functional. If we have any issues and we're constantly going to a false alarm to, like, a certain business, then we bring the fire marshal with us so they can actually go through the process of determining whether the system is functional and if it's operating at its peak.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love that. So, we talk about the different things that you guys get called out for. What other services does our local fire department offer besides responding to emergencies? I know that, when we get into, we had, the hurricane or tropical storm Hillary. We were pushing about the importance of sandbags, and how many people I had tell me, I didn't know our fire stations do that. Now we reminded them, like, either the sand will be there,
Yeah.
the bags will be there, you may be able to get them to fill it for you if you're elderly or unable to do so, but also keep in mind that they're also responding to emergencies. So if they're not there, there will still be sandbags and there will still be sand, but people did not know that they could go and get that. So, like, talk to me just a little bit high level on some of the other services that our fire stations provide to our residents.
Well, we never close 24/7, 365. We have multiple programs. We have the fire prevention program, which is encompasses our fire marshal. We have our day-to-day operations of administrative and operational responses throughout the city. Our captains, which are amazing in this city because they all live here for the
Yep.
most part, have that community sense. They enjoy the community events. You'll see a fire engine all the time. Show and tell. School tours. We
Yeah.
have school tours that you can come out to the fire station. Sandbags.
Yeah.
Good point on the sandbags. We do offer sand and sandbags during those winter months. We will give you the information. You will post it on your website. Sand will be available at either station 32, 70, or 93. And you're allotted a certain amount of sandbags,
Yeah.
because we want to make sure that you're able to provide that safety net for your home so that it doesn't flood and it calls us out. But we have a multitude of services. We also have fire prevention services that encompasses 2 law enforcement officers that are now assigned to the desert. So
Ah,
they assist in all our investigation and enforcement of all fire laws.
I love that. So if somebody, I mean, you see this on TV and whatnot, but it could happen. If somebody was all of a sudden decided, hey, I wanted to just get more informed about fire prevention, they could show up to one of the stations. Do you recommend that they call ahead? Because we do get asked that. Can I just show up and ask some questions? I always say, well, as long as they're there and you're not impeding, if that siren's going, you're coming up. We'll come back to you, kind of a deal.
Yeah,
But can people do that?
absolutely. Call ahead. Our numbers are listed on the rvcfire.org website of every fire station here in Riverside County,
Yeah,
whether it's city or county or state, because
yeah,
we integrate into all three disciplines. So calling ahead is always good, 8 to 5.
yep,
Make an appointment. Hey, I want to do a show and tell with my kid, our
yeah,
child, or my son wants to ride out. He is 17. We do have a ride out form that you would fill out. But you can ride out for the day if you're interested in the fire service.
yeah,
So it's a pretty neat new system that our fire chief approved to give you that hands-on,
yeah.
and see if it's a career that you're going to want.
I love that.
So,
That's awesome. It's like full on, like, okay, this is it. You're
yeah,
you want to do this, we're going to show you what it's
exactly.
like. That's great. No, I love that. Um, what would you say, in your opinion, is the single most important piece of fire safety advice that you would leave with with the folks watching?
Well, we have a lot of seasonal residents, like we were talking earlier
Yep.
about phantom electricity. Unplug your appliances. If you're going to be gone for a while, unplug everything. Whatever you don't need, unplug it. Because that is our number one fire that we usually have in the winter or the summer, depending on what type of resident lives there,
Mm,
is we have these fires due to electrical.
yeah.
Another thing is go through your home. Go through your home, go through FireWise, and it's going to give you a checklist, including your garage. How many things do you have in your garage?
Mm.
We have a 6 month rule in my house. If you haven't used it in 6 months, it goes to donation.
Yeah.
So it's always good to know your appliances, lifespans. How old is my refrigerator? Is it making weird noises? Things like
Mm,
that you can just monitor throughout the day. But also knowing that you're going to have a plan, some sort of plan of, hey, if there is a fire, this is what we're going to do. Um, the smoke detectors, everything that would encompass fire life safety
yeah.
could be looked into our website, and it just gives you an amazing checklist of things you wouldn't even think about. Paint,
Yeah.
cooking oils, having a fire extinguisher next to your kitchen. I know it's not aesthetic, but at the end of the day, it's gonna save you.
Yeah.
You
You can
know,
find some cute ones out there. Come on.
Other things that you might want to consider, they're starting to make fire blankets. If you
Oh,
have a
yeah.
cooking fire, you can put it over your stove top, and it should extinguish it.
Yeah.
Some houses, newer houses, come with fire safety sprinkler systems. Have them checked out.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Just it's not a one-time purchase. It's a
Yeah.
lifetime of constant reassurance that you're monitoring, but also caring for your appliances
Yeah.
and your fire safety items.
It's that maintenance, right?
It's
Just like
it's a
we do it on our
maintenance.
cars and our
Yeah.
ourselves, right? Annual checkups. It's the same thing with that. I think that's so important. I mean, we do. We have a lot of snowbirds. We even have full-time residents that are like, "Hey, I'm going to go visit family for a few weeks." It's like if you're going to be gone for an extended period of time, unplug unnecessary
Correct.
items. It's just it makes perfect sense. We talked a little bit about um, the Firewise website, and I think I saw this during 4th of July. We talk about, you know, the importance of making sure you know the non-emergency phone number or ways to reach both police and fire, but in this case, fire, because I think a lot of people call 911 because that is the number that they know. But if there is something that is non-emergency, what is the best way to reach the fire department?
So Riverside County Fire Department has its own dispatch center located in Paris.
Hmm.
24/7, always available. It's 1-800 228 9645. And that is our non emergency number that you can call, and they will direct you to whatever concern or question you may have.
That is great info because again, if it's, I know like you guys have put out information like, oh, this is why you call 911, this is why you don't call 911, and just the importance of having the community know what that non-emergency line is, because there's things that you want to call the fire department for, but it's not life threatening, it's not impeding on the safety of the community, and so having that information is so important. Anything else you want to kind of leave it with as far as our residents, the importance of education, information, fire prevention, anything else?
Yeah, we just want to thank our residents of La Quinta for allowing us to provide numerous years of customer service, but not only that, fire services for the city. To add to that, the website that we have is rvcfire.org, and you can look at a live incident feed of all the calls that are being generated throughout the city and the county. So if you have any concerns or any type of issues that you want to see at real time instead of
Hmm.
looking at social media, it is posted on our live feed.
I love that. I love that you mentioned the social media because, as we know, social media gets legs and kind of goes into very various directions. And so we always try to stress the importance of when our residents and our community is gathering information or getting information to go to the source. Don't go on what your neighbor Sally says or your neighbor Jim says. It is, hey, go to the source. If you smell fire, don't go to Facebook and start looking at this, that, and the other. It is going to these websites that actually have it so you can say, okay, I know what's going on. I also know that they're on top of it. But making sure that accurate information, is being sought, but also received. I think we have a lot of times where people go on the internet and they start looking up stuff, and I'm like, just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true. So the importance of making sure that they're going to the right resources to get that information is super key. I think this has been great. I appreciate you coming on here and having these conversations because I think it is important for our residents. And again, all year round. It doesn't matter that it's summer or winter or whatever. It is all year round, making sure people are staying on top of this. So we appreciate you informing our residents and our community about what they can do to help with the fire prevention, but also just understanding and knowing what the fire departments can help them with. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.